I would love to hear your stories of the moments you stepped out in faith, even though it seems like the wrong move at the time. Back in August of 2023, my husband and I went through a second trimester loss. Me and God have a very good relationship, and I trusted him through the entirety of the loss, to the point where I baffled the chaplain that came to visit us in the hospital, because there was a smile on my face, because despite the pain, I still had joy in knowing that there was purpose in everything we were experiencing. We had been in the process of a church switch, but we hadn't finished the church switch, so instead of going to the new church where we had not established our church family yet, we went to our original church. And the sermon just happened to be about different griefs. As I sat in that sermon, I kept getting angrier and angrier, to the point where I told God that if the pastor continued preaching some of what felt like nonsense to me while I was going through a really heavy grief, that I was just going to walk out of service. I wasn't staying to listen to it anymore, because all it was doing was hurting my heart to hear some of the ways that he suggested we get through grief. So when I told God that if he did not change the words that were coming out of the pastor's mouth, I was going to get up and walk out of service, part of me was in disbelief that I would leave service simply because I didn't agree with what was being said in that moment. He still kept talking about the same thing. And finally, I had to get up and I had to leave, because my heart was just aching. And as I left with my husband, we bumped into one of the missions pastors I had done work with while I did work for the church. And he stopped us, and he said, "I heard what's been going on, and I wanted to stop you before you left church today. I am so glad I ran into you." And he expressed a loss that him and his wife had experienced, and sat there and asked how we were feeling, how we were really feeling, and shared some of the hurt that they experienced, and prayed over us in the depths of our heart and our pain. And throughout the entirety of the heavy grieving process, that was the biggest moment that I felt emotionally supported on earth by anyone other than my husband and my family. Every now and then we think we're being pulled to do something that society says is not standard. Like that notion that I had to leave service. But it might just be where God is calling us to move. And in the moment, it just doesn't sit right. It doesn't feel right. But if I had not got out of service, I would not have run into that pastor. And I would not have been provided with the same level of comfort in knowing the other side that I was provided with in running into him.